Welcome back to part 2 of Caroline Osgood's Desert Island Discs. Thank you.
And how did you meet Dad?
Well, at college, we used to have, I had a friend who was going out with somebody called Brian, who was at a leather training college, at leather sellers college. And particularly, she was going to the pictures to see I Was Monty's Double. And I said, oh, I'd love to see that. And she said, oh, come along. I said, no, I can't be a gooseberry. So she said, I'll tell Brian to bring you a date. And he brought Dad. And he turned up and I said, oh, I can't go with you. You're taking another friend of mine. You're taking Ira out tomorrow. And he said, oh, that doesn't matter. So we went to the pictures and that's how it all started. And he didn't take Ira out again. And Ira said, well, I wasn't really bothered. Ira would only be 18, but I was mature at 20.
Well, that's it then.
And Dad would have done his national service by then. So he was 21-ish. So, yeah. So we started there and that's how it all started. Then he did his training, went back to Carlisle, and I went back to Sussex and got a job, my first teaching job in Pulborough for a year. And then we got married in 61. We were married in August 1961, and Dad had the job of managing a tannery in East Pakistan, which is now Bangladesh. And we had to go out there. We got married in August, had to go out in November. We had bought a partly built bungalow just outside Carlisle, which we thought was going to be finished by the time we were married, and it wasn't. So we went out to Pakistan, leaving a half-built bungalow for your dad's parents they went in and did the garden and set it up. So we didn't actually see our own house until we got back from Pakistan. So it was a bit strange. So between August and November, we stayed at his auntie's, and we had to have a bit of time in Preston because he had to do some training at a tannery in Preston. So I can remember it being this grotty sort of, a lodging house, a hotel sort of, where I sat in our bedroom making curtains ready for the new house, which I hadn't seen. So I think we did that for probably about a month or so. And then we went out to his boat with his boss, Elwood Scott, who was a lovely man, said we could take 10 days to get out to Pakistan and choose where we would like to visit on the way as a sort of extended honeymoon. This is sort of, I don't know, present from the factory, I suppose. So we chose to go to Switzerland. So we went to, I can't remember where we went, Geneva, got out there and realised that we were going to Iran for another trip, and we needed to get I don't know what they'd call them, a special dispensation to be able to visit there, which nobody had thought about when we were in England. So we had spent the whole time we were in Geneva going to get the right paperwork to get into Iran. And then from Switzerland, we went to Italy. We went to Rome and stayed in a hotel there. A taxi driver picked us up and said, you are newly married? And we said, yes. And he said, oh, I can take you to see the Pope. It's very good when you are newly married to see the Pope. He'll give you an alarm clock. So he sat outside our little hotel waiting for us to come out so he could take us to see the Pope. And we didn't want to go and see the blooming Pope. So I think we had 2 nights or 3 nights in Rome. And that was lovely, seeing Rome. And then from Rome, we went to Tehran, where we stayed in a hotel called the Jam Hotel. And we were the only Western people in the hotel. But they said, if you want to see the city, we can arrange a trip. And this very nice lady came in a very large car as our guide and took us all around, showed us all the interesting parts of Tehran. Beautiful area. Showed us where they washed rugs and laid them out to dry on the rocks, and took us to see the Shah of Tehran, Iran, these crown jewels and all sorts of interesting things. So it was fascinating. And then we had to fly to Karachi in West Pakistan, where we were so tired, we just went to bed and slept for 24 hours, and then had to fly across from Karachi to East Pakistan, to Dhaka, and it was one of these four-engine, I think it was a four-engine big flight, and it was quite busy with Pakistanis. I remember sitting next to this guy who, I don't know whether was wearing all the clothes he was taking, but he definitely had 3 pairs of socks on, because he took his shoes off and then he started peeling his socks off. Anyway, we got to Dhaka, and then had to get another little plane down to the nearest town where we were going to live, called Khulna, and we were met by the manager at that time, somebody called Arthur, who apparently took one look at me and said, "Oh, well, you can't stay where we thought you were going to stay, which was going to be a bungalow beside the river." And they put us in the snake-free quarters. So that was my horror of, I thought there were going to be snakes around every bush and every tree. So the snake-free quarters were like an apartment on top of the factory. So in a tannery, you have drums churning around, working on the leather. And then at 7 o'clock in the morning, the drums would go boom, 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 and that was it. So that's where we were for a whole year. But then we did end up in a bungalow near the river, but it was all right. I'd got used to. There weren't snakes around every corner. I didn't see a single snake for about 3 months because they'd all gone to bed. But somebody came with a very large python, which was a bit nerve-wracking, but I didn't have to. It didn't jump out at me. But so we had a month in there. Anyway, that's another long tale.
Oh, it's very interesting.
I wanted a mongoose, was my ambition. Having read Kipling, Rikki Tikki Tavi, I thought I'd love to have a mongoose. So we put the word out, and somebody came and said, "Oh, Ma'am Sahab, they have a mongoose for you." When I went downstairs, there was this gentleman in his robes with this poor animal tied by its tail to a stick. And it was a very mongoose, about, they're a good foot, half a metre, no, half of it. They were a metre altogether, where they got a long tail and a long body. And it was yelling and screaming. I didn't know what to do with it. So we had somebody found a bird cage or something. So we popped it in the cage overnight and then decide what we're going to do with it in the morning. But luckily it let itself out. It chewed through the wire and ran away. So that was a great relief. And then somebody came with a baby one for me, which I nurtured and used to feed, and I could handle it until it grew up, and we just let it go. So it went back to its where it belonged.
Thanks.
Yeah, sorry.
Then you came back from Pakistan.
Yes, I had come back because I was pregnant when we thought, well, we'll have a go. We'll have a baby. Why not? And I got pregnant quite quickly. So I went to the local doctor who was on a newsprint mill, and he said, well, that's fine, and it's due. He didn't actually tell me. I got the impression that it was due in January, so this baby. And he said, you've got a choice of 3 things. You either go to the nuns in Dhaka or to the nuns in India, or go home to your mother. And I thought, I think I better go home to mother. I didn't fancy the nun. Oh, Calcutta were the other nuns. It meant going into India. So I didn't fancy that.
Teresa.
Yeah. So I didn't do that. So I came home in the November. I'd been out in Pakistan exactly a year. And I remember Dad having to put me on the plane. I cried. I had to come on. And the night before, we'd been to the cinema. I should have chosen that one. Breakfast at Tiffany's, I saw then. I could have sung something out of that. Anyway.
Wider than a mile, I'm crossing you in style someday. Oh, dream maker, you heartbreaker, wherever you're going, I'm going your way. Two drifters off to see the world. There's such a lot of world to see. We're after the same rainbow's end, waiting round the bend. My huckleberry friend, Moon River and me.
So I came home back to Midhurst and had little Nicola. When I got back to Midhurst, because you weren't allowed to fly if you were over 7 months pregnant. And I said to the doctor, I want to stay out here as long as possible. So he said it was due in January. When I got to and saw the doctors in the hospital in Midhurst, they said, oh no, it's February. Whether he did that on purpose to make sure I got away, maybe he was right. And then I had her at home in the worst winter they'd had since the wartime, the snow up there, and we called her Snowdrop. I dropped her in the snow near.
That was 1964, was it? No,
63. She went to, she was born in Hazelmere, so if you really want to annoy her, you tell her she's a southern woman, because that really makes her very cross.
she is a southerner.
She was born in Surrey in Hazelmere. And I was in hospital for 10 days. It was the same hospital that my mother had given birth to my brother only 6 years before. So I was dumped in the hospital. Daddy insisted on driving me. It was an awful snowy night. And I said, no, can I have an ambulance, please? And he said, no, your mother and I will take you. So there were 2 nasty sets of hills to get up and over. Anyway, dumped me there, and mother came in with me. And they were more excited, the nurses that were on duty, more excited to see her because she'd been the Wonder Woman, because she'd had a child at 46. And they were 46 when she had David.
Wow.
Exactly. So I was told to get in the bath and shut up, sort of thing. So that was about 8 in the morning. And then I had Nick about 12, and I rang Mum, and she said, oh, hello, are you having a little relapse between things? I said, no, it's a girl. What? You've had it already? She said it was indecent that I'd had her so quickly.
Oh.
Anyway, so that was all right. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So we'll go to our next record.
Mm-hmm.
So it's The Bachelors.
Yes.
Of rain that falls, a flower grows. I believe that somewhere in the darkest night a candle glows. I believe for everyone who goes astray, someone will come to show the way. Above the storm, the smallest prayer will still be heard. I believe that someone in the great somewhere hears every word. Every time I hear a newborn baby cry, or touch a leaf, or see the sky, then I know why I believe. Every time I hear a newborn baby cry,
fine. So why did you pick The Bachelors?
Because if you go on with that song, it says, I believe that every time I hear a newborn baby cry, I believe. And it was playing on the radio the day that Julian was born, because I had him at home in Dalston. Yes, I was in Dalston, just outside Carlisle. And my little sister Vicky had come up to help look after little Nicola, who was only a year and a bit. So she was kind of helping us out with and she was in the sitting room. It was about, I think it was Housewife's Choice or something like this. Anyway, this song was playing. And when it came to the verse saying, and I believe when I hear a newborn baby cry, Julian went, wah! It was his first cry. So I've always thought of it, I've remembered that. I mean, I didn't hear the radio going on. I was a bit busy at the time. But that was why I chose that one.
Oh, that was nice.
Little Julian. So I had like extended twins.
Yes, 1 year and 2 months. That's a.
Well, it was 30. Yes, it was just about 2 months. Yes, it was a bit. Never mind.
And then we're going to move on to the Seekers, and I'll Never Find Another You. Tell me about that, and then I'll play it.
Oh right. Well, that was because I like the Seekers. They were an Australian group. And when we went to Australia, we went for a meal at a place near where, because my cousin Philip, my favourite cousin, or one of my favourites, I better not say that, might go public. Philip, my cousin, he was about a year younger than me. And he and his wife were living in Australia, and they took us out for a meal. And it was where the woman who sings in Seekers, I don't know whether she lived there or she owned it or something, but that's the association there. And I just liked the tune. And that Philip, who died last year, he chose it, or he had it sung at his funeral. So it sounds a funny thing, but I just like the tune.
If you will hold my hand, I still need you there.
Yes, and Dad and I like that. We've got the record at home. Haven't played it for ages, and it was just the words are nice in that one. There'll never be another you.
Never be another you.
Yeah.
So, slightly controversially, I'll lead you to your next choice of music.
Oh, yes.
Can we say we're going more for the memories than the actual person themselves?
Oh, nothing to do with the person. It's the memories. And
what memories do you have of Tie My Kangaroo Down sport, Rolf Harris?
Yeah, well, okay, Rolf Harris blotted his coffee book, but he was very, very popular in his time and all his silly songs. So it was memories of Australia. Once Dad retired, and he said when he retired, I don't want to go on another plane. I'm fed up with flying anywhere. We'll go to Portugal, that's enough. And I said, well, can we just go and see the cousins in Australia? Because we hadn't, been in contact with them. And he said, oh, well, I suppose so. So we went off to Australia, and he loved it so much, I think he would have stayed there. And we went to Australia about every 2 years, I think. I'm trying to think. I think we went first in 1999 and then 2001, about every other year. And it was just so lovely and so different. And that's why Tie My Kangaroo Down song, because they had kangaroos jumping around their farm and things, used to see them.
There's an old Australian stockman lying, dying. And he gets himself up onto one elbow and he turns to his mates who are gathered round and he says, watch me wallabies feed, mate. Watch me wallabies feed. They're a dangerous breed, mate. So watch me wallabies feed. All together now. Tie me kangaroo down, sport. Tie me kangaroo down. Tie me kangaroo down, sport. Tie me kangaroo down. Keep me cockatoo cool, curl. Keep me cockatoo cool. Oh, don't go acting the fool, curl. Just keep me cockatoo cool. All together now. Tie me kangaroo down, sport. Tie me kangaroo down. Tie me kangaroo down, sport. Tie me kangaroo down. And take me koala back, Jack. Take me koala back. He lives somewhere out on the track, Mac. So take me koala back. All together now. Tie me kangaroo down, sport. Tie me kangaroo down. Tie me kangaroo down, sport. Tie me kangaroo down. And mind me platypus duck, Bill. Mind me platypus duck. Oh, don't let him go running amok, Bill. Just mind me platypus duck. All together now. Tie me kangaroo down, sport. Tie me kangaroo down. Tie me kangaroo down, sport. Tie me kangaroo down. Play your didgeridoo, blue. Play your didgeridoo. Like, keep playing till I shoot through, blue. Play your didgeridoo. All together now. Tie me kangaroo down, sport. Tie me kangaroo down. Tie me kangaroo down, sport. Tie me kangaroo down. Tan me hide when I'm dead, Fred. Tan me hide when I'm dead. So we tanned his hide when he died, Clyde, and that's it hanging on the shed. All together now. Tie me kangaroo down, sport. Tie me kangaroo down. Tie me kangaroo down, sport. Tie me kangaroo down.
So the next one I was very excited to see. Climb every mountain. So tell me, Mother, the actor, why did you pick Climb Every Mountain?
Because every year we went to the Lake District for 50 years on the track.
53 years, I think you'll find.
Well, no, 50 years. No, we've just had our 50th anniversary this year. When you were 3, little Sarah was 3, and we found this cottage. That we go back. We were by that time living in Bedford when it all started. Dad had introduced me to the Lake District, and I knew it was lovely and it was absolutely wonderful. And we'd lived near the Lake District when we came back from Pakistan. So we saw a bit of it, but not enough. When you have small children, you didn't have time to go climbing mountains. Dad did all that before we were married. But when we moved down to Bedford for his work, we used to come up to Carlisle and stay at Grand's or Grand's neighbours to spread us all around. And then we'd go and do the Lake District. And Dad and I went out one day, had a day on our own. We climbed Saddleback and we were saying, it's ridiculous. It's all piling into one little house. Let's see if we can find a cottage to stay at and get the Grand and Grandad as well. So we went down Saddleback and went to the White Horse Inn and said to the man, do you know anybody who rents out cottages? And he said, oh, it's Mrs. Harper in the valley. She does. Go and have a word with her. So we went and knocked on Mrs. Harper's door in Walthwaite and said, we're coming. Would you have room? Could we rent your cottage for next year, 1970? And we have 3 children and we'll have a dog with us and we'll probably have the in-laws. And she said, oh, yes, you can have it because I don't like the people who are in it at the moment and I'd like to tell them they can't come back. So that's how we found Walthwaite. And we went in there and some people called it the Grotty Cottage. I can't think why. It was very inconvenient. But we piled in and we had a lot of fun things. I've always said to your father, I know his backside very well because I've followed it up these mountains all the years, herding little children who didn't really want to walk, saying, you've got to keep up with Daddy. So I did that for 50 years, but it was probably a bit easier when it was just the 2 of us.
A lot easier, I would have thought. From my memories, it was you would do cooked meal for 7 of us in this tiny cottage.
Yes.
Have as a treat in the evening Vesta meals, or we were allowed a takeaway fish and chips and an egg and chips at some sort of
at the White Horse Inn.
Or was it the White with the roly butter?
Oh yeah.
Memory. And you used to make full pat lunches for all 7 of us. Gran and Grandad would often go off on their own, and occasionally I would be allowed to go with them, which was such a relief. And basically, you worked like a trooper.
Yeah, I can remember buying up all these Vesta packets and Smash.
Yes, and sausages.
And Angel Delight. All these instant food.
What happens to Julian's poo-poos?
No, I don't think we better mention it. It was the butterscotch that upset Julian.
BBC, after all.
So no, I used to kind of, we only had 2 bedrooms the first time, and all us 5 would all piled in 1 bedroom, and we'd have Gran and Grandad would, we pick them up the next day, and they'd bring a fold-up bed. But little Sarah was left on the camp bed thing, which in the night as she rolled down, it tipped her out because it wasn't very stable. She would slide out at the end, and she'd grind her teeth, and we'd all say, "Stop grinding your teeth." So it was quite a big room. We all fitted in anyway. So we did that. Oh, I don't know. Then we'd go and pick up Gran and Grandad, and they'd come, and I'd cook. I do cook breakfast for you all first, and then make all these sandwiches. And I say, "Who's going with Daddy? Who's going with Gran and Grandad?" And to know which pile of sandwiches to go where. Because and Dad would have to study the map, and he had to find a place where Gran and Grandad could find a cafe or something by a river, and those who wanted to stay with Gran and Grandad could play in the river, and they'd had the cafe and the loo and things, so convenient then. And then Dad would go off whatever, and I used to think, now who do I want to be with? Do I want to go all up that high mountain, or do I want to stay with Gran and Grandad? And I end up going up the high mountain because it was easier.
And better at the end of the day, I would imagine.
Yes, and then come back and cook meal for the rest of you, all instant things. And Grandad was notably said one day, "I take Gran on a proper holiday once a year." And I'm thinking, oh God, lucky Gran.
You look forward to going to the Lake District?
Yes, it was lovely. It was so. They were very good to us. They let us borrow the pony, and they had a lovely stream you used to play in. You used to get water in your wellies straight away, and the wellies would end up beside Mrs. Harper's fire to dry out.
And the horses were called Captain and Moonlight. Was it Moonlight or
Captain? No, it was Captain and Star.
Star.
Yes, Star. So it was a fell pony, and he was very good with the little children. So it was just so easy, and we never changed because it was so convenient, and it was on its own. There was nobody else around, just the owners and the farmer and his wife. We used to have. He had 2 cows which he milked every morning, and used to leave us a bottle of fresh cow milk straight out of the cow. Blech.
Climb every mountain, search high and low, follow every byway, every path you know. Climb every mountain, ford every stream, follow every rainbow till you find your dream, a dream that will need all the love you can give. Every day of your life, for as long as you live. Climb every mountain, ford every stream, follow every rainbow till you find your dream. A dream that will need all the love you can give. Every day of your life, for as long as you live. Climb every mountain, ford every stream, follow every rainbow till you find your
Okay, so moving on to your last song, number 8,
Yeah.
Sussex Carol.
Sussex Carol, yes. Yes.
Tell me, why did you pick Sussex Carol?
I wanted to Sussex. I wanted to pick a carol, and there were so many, and I thought I'll choose Sussex Carol because basically I was a Sussex girl, but I can't remember what Sussex Carol sounded like, so I shall look forward to listening to it.
Do we listen to it pretty quickly then,
Yes.
so you know what's going on? It's beautiful.
This is a sight of grace.
beautiful. Love that one.
A nice one. When I was a little girl at my posh boarding school, we did a nativity play every year, and they had a most beautiful set of staircases. So we did it on the staircase, and the parents would come and watch down below. And I was an angel, and I suppose I'd be about 10. And because every Sunday we had to write a letter home to Mummy and Daddy. We were forced to sit and write the letter, and I wrote home. When they read it, and my spelling was so bad, it said, "I'm an angle in the Navity play," and they didn't know what I was talking about. So they rang the school and said, "What does she mean?"
I think that was a little silly of them. Just
Well,
a Melanie E's, not much difference. I would do the same thing.
Yes, well, I still can't remember which way round it goes. But anyway, I was going to be an angle in the Navity play, so that was it. But I was an angle for a few years, and then we did carols in Petworth Church, and I was chosen to sing a solo, and I was quite proud of this. And I can't remember what it was that I sang, except I told my mummy and daddy that I was doing this, and they were late for the service, so they never did hear me. So I must have been just about ready to leave the school. It must have been a last fling for me. I'd probably be about 17. Anyway, never mind. But that's why.
Lovely, lovely. So, packing you off onto your desert island, you're going with the full works of Shakespeare and the Bible, naturally. What other book would you take?
I would like the full set of John Betterman's poems, because I just love his poems, and they're just so good to read. And I might learn one or two, and I could spout them out when I got home, if I got rescued.
If you got rest, you might not.
Might not.
Not with that one.
Oh.
And your luxury item?
I want a comfortable bed, and I want 4 jam jars. Because I remember when we were in Pakistan, our bed had the legs of the bed were in jam jars with paraffin in the jam jars to stop the ants crawling up the legs of the bed, because there were a lot of ants out there. And so I think if I'm on a desert island, I might need my legs protecting from the bugs.
Good idea. So yeah, this is a bed that comes with jam jars and paraffin already supplied.
Good, yes. Yes.
So out of all of those songs, what's your favourite?
Oh heck! Well, I know what I can't choose. Well, I think I'll go for the Sussex Carol. I might get to know it.
It's beautiful, isn't it? It's really gorgeous. And that was sung by King's College, which is mince pipe music, isn't it?
Yes.
So it's really lovely. They sing it beautifully. Okay, so I'm setting you a sail on your desert island. The sun is shining. Swim into the shore. And we'll leave it there.
Thank you very much.
Happy sailing.